Hello and welcome to this episode of the Veterans History Project, Santa Clarita Valley edition. The Veterans History Project is an initiative of the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. The Santa Clarita Valley edition is spearheaded by College of the Canyons in association with the Santa Clarita Valley Senior Center, SCV TV, and Vets Back to War Zone. The project relies on volunteers to collect the oral histories of U.S. military veterans and support personnel who served in active war zones. Today is November 30th, 2009. My name is Christine Bitter, and my guest today is Edward Reiff, a veteran of World War II. Hi, Ed. Thank you for being here today.
It's been nice to see a pretty face.
Wonderful. Well, tell me a little bit about where your military experience started. What town were you born in? Did you enlist?
I enlisted. I was 17 years old, January the 18th, and February 12th, I joined the Marine Corps. And I went through boot camp at Parris Island, and that was a hellhole.
Oh, what do you mean
by
that?
But it makes a man out of you.
In what ways?
Oh, they train you, they beat into you, kill, kill, kill.
Really? Tell me a little bit about your drills and what daily life was during your boot camp experience.
Oh, my drills were all pretty rough. You had to do 50 push-ups. You had to go on hikes every day. There was marching. There was a rifle range, there was a bayonet range, there was a pistol range,
okay.
And they really go to work on you, and they turn you into a man. Mm-hmm. And the boys that didn't make it, they just get rid of them, they leave them.
Were you already assigned to a particular duty or specialty, or?
No, not in boot camp.
Okay. Tell me about that process afterwards.
Well, afterwards, I applied for sheet metal school, and they gave me a test which I passed, and they flew me to Quantico, Virginia, and I was waiting for the school to start. And I had a pass to go to New York, and I was waiting for my buddy to change his clothes, and this Marine major walked in, and he said, you, and you, pack your sea bags. And I told him, sir, I've got a pass. I'm going to New York. Mm-hmm. He took the pass out of my hand, tore it up, and said, you heard what I said. Oh, goodness. I packed my sea bag. They flew me back to San Diego to the Marine base. And from there, they sent me to North Island. And I spent 6 weeks at North Island on machine guns. Okay. And from North Island, I boarded a ship, and we took off, and August 7th, 1942, we hit Guadalcanal. D-Day, our first offensive.
Had you heard anything about what was going on there before you left? Did you have any idea what was?
I had no idea where we were going, what we were going to do. We went overseas on the Lura line, and we got to New Caledonia, and they transferred us to these Dutch ships, which were absolutely horrible, filthy.
Tell me a little bit about your first days.
Well, the first day we landed, they had laid down a 6-hour barrage. And when we got to the beachhead, it was just like landing in Santa Monica, nothing. We were figuring, my God, the shelling and the bombings must have done them all in.
Okay.
And at 1 o'clock in the morning, it hit the fan.
Okay.
The Japanese soldiers came out of everywhere. The jungle, pillboxes, they were up in trees, sniping, shooting at us. And our orders were to take Henderson Field, no matter what the cost.
Where was Henderson Field located?
It was about a mile and a half, 2 miles from the beach.
Did you march into Henderson Field the first night?
We didn't march in nowhere. We fought our way in.
Okay.
And it took us 3 days.
Goodness.
And we finally got to Henderson Field, and I was transferred to the 1st Marine Air Wing forward echelon for airdrome defense. We set our machine guns up around the whole field, and our job was to protect the field and take care of the Seabees.
So your first experience with your duty of killing the enemy was that night at 1 a.m.
That's right.
How did you feel that first night after you performed those duties?
It's pretty hard to describe. I must have lined up 100 Japanese soldiers, and I couldn't pull the trigger.
Okay.
And finally, when I saw what they were doing to our boys, they were butchering them. I finally got the first shot off, and after that, it came easy.
Okay. Wow. Or what types of weapons did you carry?
We carried the Springfield .03, which was a rifle that had a 5 clip, and the Japanese used to count to 5 and then charge.
Okay.
And we came up against the Imperial Marines, the Japanese crack troops, and they were monsters, 6-footers. I don't know if they were on something, but they would charge you, and you could fire all 5 bullets, hit them right across the chest, and it would slow them down but not stop them.
Goodness.
So they finally took the .03 away from us and issued us the Reising gun, which was about that big and had a folding stock. It carried a 15-clip ammunition deal, and it was .45 caliber. It was like having a Thompson submachine gun.
Goodness.
And the only thing, you couldn't drag it through the mud like you could the .03.
Okay.
You had to keep it clean, or it would foul up. And that weapon, to us, turned the tide of the fighting. The Japanese would count 5 and get up and charge, and we'd have an extra 10 bullets there.
Goodness.
And the .45 caliber bullet would stop a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And it made the big difference when we came up against the Imperial Marines. It was their crack troops, and we beat them in the first fight.
What happened after that?
After that, it was just a matter of survival. It's either them or us. And when you see your friends and the close ones getting butchered and killed, you become a butcher.
Did you have any idea what the conflict was about? Did they give you any indication of?
None at all. None at all. I knew that the Japanese had attacked us. I knew what they did was absolutely uncalled for and backstabbing. And I enlisted to get even. When I was 15, I belonged to the New York Naval Cadets, and I was a lieutenant in the Marine Detachment, and that's what got me started. I was also a pretty tough New York kid.
Okay, draw from some of those resources to get you through, I bet.
It wasn't easy to start with, but after the first 2 weeks, we became as cruel as the Japanese.
Mm-hmm. What cruelties are you referring to in terms of the Japanese? What did you see?
They did atrocious things you wouldn't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even be able to explain it to you. But believe me, they were horrible fighters.
Did you have any indication of why they chose those methods?
None at all. I don't know if it came easy to them. I don't know what it was, but they were fierce fighters. And in hand-to-hand combat, it was not easy.
Mm-hmm. How close did you get to soldiers? How often were you involved in actual hand-to-hand combat?
Oh, maybe 3 or 4 times.
Tell me about those times, or one in particular that you
don't
remember.
even want to know.
Okay.
You're out on patrol, a Japanese group jump you, and you get to fighting close in, hand-to-hand, and all you think about is survival. Mm-hmm. We carried a pistol and 2 knives. We carried a stiletto for throwing and a regular hunting knife. And if we were in close enough, we were pretty good at using them.
Okay. Well, so you were given training on knives
yes.
as well as guns.
In boot camp, we were given training. All they drilled into your head was live and kill, live and kill.
Tell me a little bit about the friends you made. Did you make them immediately as soon as you
No,
arrived, or before that? Or?
I had two buddies. One was from Shreveport, Louisiana, and the other one was from Roanoke, Virginia. Johnny Cochran and Edwin Dupre. And we were known as the Unholy Three.
Really? Now, how did you get that moniker?
We did some rough things,
Okay.
including stealing a case of liquor from one of the generals during an air raid.
Oh, really? Well, it sounds like y'all needed it with what you were dealing with.
Well, we buried it in the jungle and were afraid to go near it for 2 months.
I bet. Did you end up finding it?
Oh, yes, we found it. We celebrated with it.
Excellent.
Shared it with a slew of Marines. Excellent. Even a couple of Navy and Army boys. But it was nice. And then we finished with the canal, and we were the first troops to get to Auckland, New Zealand. And they treated us royally.
They were
I spent 6 weeks there and had a blast.
They were your advocates there.
Yes, they treated us like we were gods.
Did they also help with? Did they offer any help during your battles there? During your combat there?
No, not really. We never came across the soldiers. We just came across the women.
Okay. Tell me about that. How long were you there?
6 weeks.
Okay. What did you do for fun?
Drank and had a ball.
Okay.
I was pretty close to my major because I'd saved his life in the canal. And he told me, Ed, he says, go out and have a ball. He says, party, do whatever you want. We're not going home. He says, but that's between you and me. And
so you lived it up
that's exactly what I did. We rented a suite of rooms in the Auckland Hotel. I took Johnny and Dupre in with me because I had gotten lucky on the ship gambling, and I won a lot of money.
Excellent.
And we went to McDuff's department store, and I spent $1,000 on jewelry for my family and for Johnny and Dupre's family. And we paid $100 a day for liquor. And we had 6 weeks there that if I had to do over again, those would pick the 6 weeks I would take.
Excellent.
But when we left, the women there carried on and cried at our sergeant party the night before we were leaving. It was rough.
They probably knew a little bit about what you were going back to.
Yeah, it was rough.
Okay.
There we landed on Bougainville after that. And that was another rough island. Bougainville had a volcano, and the Japanese kept bombing it. And the island itself wasn't but maybe 4 or 5 miles. And finally, Christmas, the volcano erupted. The island was shaken just like that. And I can say that's the first time in the Pacific that I was scared.
Was the volcano and not all of the guns and violence
I was scared. That hot lava running down, the Marines running into the ocean, afraid the island was going to sink. And it was a bad, nasty time.
Amazing. Did you feel like you were facing the end of the world or something?
I didn't know what I was facing. All I knew was stay alive, stay alive.
Goodness.
And I didn't run into the ocean. I just held my ground and watched for the flowing lava. And when it was coming anywhere close, I was sure I was away from it. But we survived it.
What neighborhood did you grow up in New York?
The Bronx. It was a rough neighborhood. And I was a tough kid.
You don't look like such a tough kid there. You look like you're smiling a little bit there.
I know.
Well, maybe there's a little wiliness over here.
I'll tell you, the one thing I did come across in the Marine Corps, I myself am Jewish, and there was a big bias.
Okay.
I was in with Texans and Southerners, and they thought I had horns.
Really?
And I got knocked down quite a bit, but I did a lot of knocking my own. And when the men finally realized, I became a squad leader. And the men in my squad, when they realized the kind of man I was, or boy I was, they would have followed me into hell.
They left you alone after they had some
And
proving
from
to do,
then
it sounds
on,
like.
I had no problems.
Just based
None
on your
at all.
background. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about your medals here.
My what?
Your medals here. Which one? What is this one? This is.
I have no idea. The only one I really know about is the Asiatic Pacific.
Okay.
And that's the medal I got with 2 bronze stars for the other islands.
Okay.
There's the discharge pin, and that one there, I don't even know what that pin is for. I never really was a medal man.
You have
I
several.
was interested in getting out of the Marine Corps, which I did. I never applied for them. And when my grandchildren and my daughters got hot and heavy on it, they were the ones that wrote to the Corps. And after 8 months, they were sent the medals. And I never really knew what I had accomplished. I knew I had 2 presidential citations.
Okay.
And I knew I had the Asiatic Pacific with bronze stars. But that's all I knew. I didn't know about any of the others, and I wasn't really interested. I was interested in getting out of the Corps and going on with my life. And
Well, you were there when the Japanese beat their last retreat, correct, in December?
Yes, yes. We had pushed them back to the end of the island, and rather than surrender, they were jumping off of mountains and committing suicide.
Okay. Now, which island was this again? I'm sorry.
Guadalcanal.
Okay. You had gone back for the second salvo.
Yes.
And you were there. Right. Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that day. Was there any heavy fighting that day? When did the fighting stop?
No, we fought right up to the end. They fought back. We kept coming on and pushing them back and pushing them back. And it became less and less on their part, more and more on our part. And unfortunately, our orders would take no prisoners. Because of the cruelty and the things that the Japanese pulled on our boys, our orders came down, take no prisoners. And I guess they knew it.
Now, in terms of your friends, and we had talked about seeing your friends pass, what types of, tell me of those situations where you had seen a friend that was killed, and tell me how you dealt with that loss at the time.
You really don't have time to deal with it. You see it happen, it stabs you in the heart, but you're still interested in staying alive yourself. And I've had close friends, and it does tear you up. It tears you up pretty good. But like I say, my 2 best friends, Johnny and Dupre, thank God the 3 of us were spared. And unfortunately, Dupre re-enlisted, and they made him a master sergeant, and I begged him. I says, Dupre, we were lucky enough to get through 5 islands. Don't push your luck. And he said to me, Ed, he says, they're offering me master sergeant. He says, I'll be stationed at the Presidio in San Francisco. He says, I'll have it made. I says, well, I can't talk you out of it. And he went up, re-enlisted. They made him his master sergeant, and he was at the Presidio. And then the war broke out. Okay. And he came in. The last weekend he was in town, they were shipping out, and we were sitting together drinking. he started. He started to cry. And he said to me, Ed, he says, I don't feel the same. He said, when I had you and Johnny, I knew you were going to look out for me. He says, I don't feel the same. And I says to him, Dupre, I says, you're too ornery to get hurt. Don't ever even think that way. And he left. And a month later, I went to my dentist, who was an ex-Marine, and he had the Leatherneck magazine there. And I picked it up, and on the last page, it had killed and missing in action. First name on the list was Master Sergeant Edwin Dupre, killed at the Inchon Reservoir. I just went to pieces. I went out on a 5-day drunk, sobered up, got on a plane and flew back to Shreveport to visit his folks, who I was pretty close to. My other buddy, Johnny, became an FBI agent. And after losing Dupre, it was just like losing a brother, because we were close.
How do you feel about your service now when you look back on it?
I try not to look back on it. When I came back from overseas, I spent 6 weeks with a shrink who was supposed to de-war me, I guess. And when he finished with me, I was stationed at Goleta, the air base in Santa Barbara. I was sergeant of the guard there. And I was there the last year of the war. And when the war ended and they were celebrating, I was told, don't put up with anything, don't let them get out of hand. I think we got drunker than the boys celebrated. Oh, God. But my major called me in, and he said to me, Ed, he says, you got 3 choices. He says, 1, he says, I will recommend you for Sergeant Major School. He says, 2, you can re-enlist and try for officers training. Or 3, I'll put you on a plane and you'll get down to San Diego and be a civilian. And I said to him, Major, it's nice knowing you. And I couldn't get on the plane quick enough. I was with the 1st Marines that were discharged. I had enough points, double of what it took to get out. Okay. And I was top man on the base. And when we got to San Diego, to the Marine base for our discharge, everything was fouled up. And we were sitting there for days. And one day this PFC comes in with brooms and shovels, and he's handing it to all of us veterans and telling us, you're going to go out and clean up the area. And I looked at him, I says, I don't want to tell you where to stick that broom.
I bet.
I says, but if you don't get out of here, you won't be able to walk out. And that night, I called Walter Winchell in New York, and I got through to him. And I told him what was happening. I says, we're veterans, we're all sergeants, senior sergeants, we're all waiting for a discharge, and they're giving us all kinds of crap. He said to me, Ed, he says, don't worry about it. And I don't know what happened from then, but boy, the next day, the whole situation changed and we were out in 24 hours.
Excellent. Good for you.
Yeah.
I understand that you've mentored veterans coming back from the Middle East. Tell me a little bit about that.
I went down to Camp Pendleton a number of times. And the boys there looked upon me as a hero. And I'd sit with them and talk to them, and I would tell them, World War II, we knew who we were fighting. I says, you poor guys are up against it. You don't know who to fire on. You can't fire on anyone unless they shoot at you. I says, don't ever call me a hero. You are the heroes. You poor kids have been through it. You're home, and God bless all of you. And I am lucky enough to go and be invited to the Marine Corps balls every year, and I'm one of the guests of honors.
Oh, wonderful. For this year?
Yeah.
Is that in the future? Or?
No, it just passed.
It just passed. How was that?
It was excellent.
I heard those are a lot of fun. I'd like to go to one sometime.
They are a lot of fun.
With the military in my family, you'd think I'd have made it to one by now, but I haven't.
As a matter of fact, the general that was in charge spent the whole hour sitting with me at my table. And he told me, he says, I got the rank, he says, but you're one of the heroes.
Absolutely. So I'm told that there's a poem that you had recited. Tell me about that.
Oh, it's quite a poem. Our original drill instructor was a China Marine, and he was rough and all Marine. And if we didn't learn the poem, we didn't get out of boot camp. And here it is. You can have your Army khaki, you can have your Navy blue. There's still another fighter I will introduce to you. His uniform is different, the best you've ever seen. The Huns called him a devil dog, but his real name is Marine. He is trained in Paris Island, the land that God forgot, where the sand is 14 inches deep and the sun is scorching hot. He has peeled 1,000,000 onions and twice as many spuds. He spends his leisure time in washing out his duds. Now, girls, just take a tip. I'm giving it to you. Just grab yourself a good Marine, for there's nothing he can't do. And when he goes to heaven, to St. Peter he will tell, another Marine reporting, sir, I've served my time in hell.
Well, Ed, thank you so much for being here and sharing your experiences. We really appreciate it.
I enjoyed being here. I really don't like to talk about it. I never have. I never said a word to my children or grandchildren. But eventually, I imagine it has to come out.
If you were talking to someone about enlisting today, maybe a young person who wanted to enlist, what would you tell them about enlisting, about being a member of the military and fighting for our country?
Well, when I was a member of the military, you were very proud. The kids of today aren't the same group or type that I associated with. But I would tell them it's a great place to become a man. They will eventually change your life around. Thank you so much, Ed. And thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more Santa Clarita episodes of the Veterans History Project, log on to scvtv.com. I'm Christine Bitter, and we'll see you next time.